This is a video about how to tire your dog out without tiring yourself out. Alternative title here is Creative Mental and Physical Enrichment Ideas for High Drive, High Need, High Energy dogs, or even just normal, possibly even low energy dogs that you just want to do a little something extra fun with. I come across plenty of clients who are overwhelmed when we discover that their dog needs much more enrichment on a daily basis in order to be happy and healthy. But I love guiding these clients through a joyful exploration of activities that challenge their dog physically and mentally without taking up a ton of the owner's time and energy. Physical and mental exercise are imperative to avoiding problem behaviors such as leash reactivity, chewing or destructive behavior, nuisance barking, demanding attention, blah, blah, blah. But I want to emphasize that I do not advocate simply avoiding behavioral problems by keeping your dog constantly exhausted. That's a common mistake. A professional like myself, Venus and Mars Canine, can help you figure out if your dog is acting up because they are lacking enrichment or if bad manners are more so due to a lack of training. Please note the importance of the mental enrichment side of this. I meet so many dogs who get plenty of exercise but do so in sort of mindless games of fetch or relatively boring walks and jogs. Especially for dogs that are bred to do work, such as herding breeds, all the cardio in the world will not satisfy their need for mental challenge. They need to use their brain. So without further ado, these are my favorite unique ideas for canine mental and physical enrichment. Number 1. Hardcore kibble scatters. This is my favorite lazy enrichment method. When I lived in my apartment in Chicago, where I didn't have a backyard, I would pretty religiously hide small piles of kibble all over the house in every single room for my dog to find. If you have a backyard, you can also scatter kibble outside or in the grass. That's a really tough one. They really have to work to sniff it all out. Start small and then get more elaborate with your scattering/hiding. Clarification, your dog would be watching you scatter this food. They know they're about to eat it, or there's some other ritual that indicates that they're about to search for the scatter. I'm not saying just hide a bunch of food all over your house and wait for mice to find it. Number 2, nosework introductions or formal searches. This is actually how some people imprint their dogs on searching for competition nosework. Start with your dog confined in some way, such as being in a stay, on a tether, held by someone, or behind a baby gate, whatever. You're going to hide a portion of their food, but all in one place for this one. You can have the food in a bowl, but I like to use a Kong so that my hiding spots can be more dynamic, such as shoving that Kong in between some couch cushions. Start out by letting your dog watch where you hide the food so they can see where it's going. And then release your dog with a special word like search and celebrate when they find the food. Yay, you did it! Gradually work up to not letting your dog watch where you hide the food, so actually hiding it. Hide it in harder and harder spots. For advanced dogs, I also continue to walk around and touch things after I hide the food so that I know the dog is truly searching with their nose for the scent of the food or the Kong in the food instead of just tracking where I walked. And I want to make sure they're searching, not just listening to the last place that I went in the house. Number 3, hide and seek. With 2 or more people, you can all hide in different spots in your house and alternate between each person calling the dog. With a single person, you can put your dog in a stay, hide, and then call them, which is a great excuse to work on your out-of-sight stays, your dog staying when you're not in their line of sight. If you have a good hiding spot, it's okay to continuously make noise so that your dog doesn't give up on finding you, because this game can be really hard for them sometimes. Number 4, training. Good old training your dog is my favorite mental enrichment activity. Take basic skills such as sit, down, stay, and take them to advanced levels. Train tricks. Like, seriously, train tricks. Train tricks that require body awareness and strength, such as sit pretty, bow, handstand, stand on your hind legs, etc. Or put your dog's brain to the test by sequencing a routine of skills back to back, all the while making sure that your dog is paying attention to signals and not just guessing which trick is going to come next. Take a look at my virtual tricks class or my Rock and Rally-O group for some training inspiration of the fun variety. Number 5, at-home obstacle course. I also do this in my virtual tricks class, but train agility, or as I have made up, faux-agility, by purchasing cheap doggy obstacle course items, hello kids tunnels from IKEA, or making them yourself out of props that you already have in your house, like chairs, planks of wood, putting umbrellas, stacking them onto rain boots. I've done that before. Have your dog hop on and off of stuff, jump over and crawl under things, and more. Teach your dog to balance on exercise balls or upside down buckets. Upside down Home Depot buckets are like the famous one in the dog training world for some reason. And be careful not to have your dog run and slide on hardwood floors or do any tough jumping, hard landing on their feet, hard turns on their ankles, anything like that repeatedly. You don't want them to get hurt while you're doing this, of course. Number 6, structured play dates. If your dog enjoys the company of other dogs, I always recommend having play dates as opposed to regularly having your dog play with random strange dogs at the park. I have another video about why I don't let my puppy interact with random dogs in the world. Playdates allow your dog to form relationships with other dogs and develop intimacy. They also give you the opportunity to communicate with the owners and advocate for your dog, such as, hey, my dog's being too rough, I'm gonna give him a timeout. Or, I want to practice recall, can you call your dog too? Where can you find playmates for your dog, you might ask? Training classes, making friends with your neighbors, and friends you already have that have friendly dogs are all good places to start. Consult with a professional like myself if you're not sure about how your dog is behaving when they are around other dogs. Maybe they seem like they're being way too rough, maybe they seem like they're a little bit scared. Stuff like that's important to figure out. Number 7, ping pong recall. This one's pretty classic. You might have heard of it before, but man, it's a winner. This was also a game changer for me when I lived in Chicago and didn't have a backyard, but there was a little, quite small park a few blocks away from my house that we utilized the entirety of its space to play the ping pong game. Me and the other people that lived in my house, I would drag them to the park and make them play the ping pong game with me. So with 2 or more people, alternate calling your dog. Work up to being able to stand really far away from each other if you have a yard or know of a space where it's safe to do so. Make it a formal training game. Make it a training exercise. It's useful for you for training your dog to come when called. By keeping your dog with you, maybe asking them to do a sit-stay after you call them, until you give them a release signal. Feeding multiple treats after they come to you is a way to make this happen as well. So they're forever hopeful that there's another cookie coming. The next person should only call the dog after a release signal is given by you. If you're super far from one another, you can make an all done gesture with your hands as well, so that the next person to call the dog can be sure that you release them and that it's okay to call them. If you don't do it like this, the dog tends to just start randomly running between everyone, which is fun for them, but a less valuable training lesson. Number 8, add structure to toy play. If you already have a dedicated lover of fetch or tug, you can add obedience or tricks in between reps for additional mental challenge. If your dog loves toys, using toys as a reward for skills usually requires more brain power from your dog than when you train with food, if they really like their toys. It's hard to keep it together and be thoughtful when you're excited. Work up to your dog being able to hold a sit or down stay while you throw a toy or even hide it, perhaps in some shrubbery. If your dog has trouble dropping their toy or bringing it back to you, I've got some good news for you. Toy play can be trained. It's a skill for your dog. But this training tends to be particularly varied depending on the individual, so I would recommend tackling that with the help of a professional trainer such as myself. Venus and Mars Canine. The last thing that you want to do is accidentally cause aggression or avoidance of toys, period, because your attempts to get your dog to share or drop it were unappreciated by your dog. That's the last thing that you want. Number 9, Outsource your cardio. If you can afford it, there are some other cool ways to get your dog extra cardio without you having to run. See if there are any canine pool centers in your area. You might laugh at that, but it's a real thing that are pretty popular in big cities. Take a look at doggy treadmills. Hire a professional dog runner if there are any dog runners or companies that do dog runs in your town. Stuff like that can be just a cool extra thing to have under your belt, maybe even if you get injured or you have a lot of work to do, whatever. It's a nice thing to be able to do. Number 10, chewing and interactive feeders. Chewing is natural, enriching, and can be great for your dog's dental hygiene. Bully sticks, raw bones, antlers, cow hooves, Himalayan chews, blah, 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 blah. Do your research on what is safe, mind shards of things, and know what kind of chewer your dog is, / what they will surely break their teeth on. Only buy high quality chews and bones. Nothing from PetSmart or anything like that. I've bought bones from PetSmart and I open them up, they shatter, they smell like bleach, it's disgusting, don't get those. Check out interactive feeders or food puzzles or slow feeders. Stuff a Kong or slow feeder with something and then freeze it. There's lots of Kong recipes out there on the internet. I'll let you research by yourself. And there's also lots of homemade DIY interactive feeders that you can make for free or very, very cheap, because those things can be expensive sometimes. You can find that online as well. Remember, free food is boring food. Make your dog work for it. They like it. It's good for their brain. Those are my favorite ideas, at least at the moment. I might make a second list one day, but these are kind of my tried and true, low maintenance, just nice things to be able to do with your dog. And all of these things that I listed are things that I do myself. I don't tell people to do anything that is so annoying and horrible that I would never do it. So I do all this stuff. It's great. It's awesome. I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions. Got my contact information absolutely everywhere. And enjoy the rest of your day.